So today we're going to be exploring this fan kit from Thermaltake. Now this is the SWA Fan EX12 RGB fan. So the first unique feature about this fan kit is that it's a modular fan kit, and they're using a magnetic system, magnetically attaching the fans together as well as the cable. So the main idea is that you can take all three of these fans, snap them together, and then use one single cable to connect it back to the controller. Now that will greatly help with cable management. The second thing that's unique about these is there's an additional set of fan blades in here that are reversed. Now it comes pre-installed with the standard fan blade, which really is just like any other fan that you would go out there and buy. But you can pop that out and put the reverse one in, and the idea behind that is that you can position the fan in your case in the orientation that you want as far as the RGB lighting is concerned, so you can make it just look its best aesthetically. And then if you need it to be an exhaust fan, for example, you can just put in the reverse blade and change the direction of the airflow. So the fan kit comes with 3 individual fans with the standard blades already pre-installed, 3 reverse blades. They're each contained in their own little plastic tray, and the accessories include documentation, controller itself, the cables that go with the controller. Now this includes the power cable, which is a Molex power connection, a USB cable to your motherboard, and it comes with a bridge cable should you just want to bridge these together. We'll talk more about that in just a minute. It also comes with the 3 connection cables, comes with the mounting screws and some Velcro. It also does come with a syringe of oil. The instructions call for is after a couple of times replacing the blades, you may want to re-oil it. So let's go ahead and talk about the controller for just a second. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ports for up to 5 different banks of fans on there. Thermaltake is recommending that you connect no more than 6 fans per controller. So that would give you 2 banks of 3 fans before you wanted to add another controller, or any combination thereof. So you could, have 3 cables with 2 fans each. It would just depend on what makes sense for your case to do. Now there's a set of dip switches on the bottom. So if you're going to have more than one controller, you will want to set the dip switches on each one to be unique. Thermaltake offers up a chart on how to set the dip switches for whatever different ID you want. Easy to do. So just a quick note on making the USB connection to your motherboard. The included USB cable comes with 2 micro USB connections. Now you can connect a controller to each of those, but there is a bridge cable that's also included, and you just plug that into the first one, and then you can connect the second controller. And you do need to set different IDs on each of those, but they both really work the same way. It's all just making a USB connection back to the motherboard using whatever ID you set, and the controller will detect that, and then you can configure each of those independently. The 120 millimeter specs that we'll talk about is going to be the fan speed. It's rated at 500 to 2000 RPMs, although I got just a little bit more out of them when I was playing with them. The max air pressure for the standard blade is 2.39 millimeters. For the reverse blade, it's 2.02 millimeters. Max airflow for the standard blade is 57.11 and 56.26 CFM for the reverse blade. Now the noise rating for this is 30.5 dBA for the standard blade and 32.5 dBA for the reverse blade. It is a hydraulic bearing on all of them. Keep in mind that these ratings are at the max RPM, so obviously you're not going to be using them very often at that max RPM, so these numbers are definitely going to be lower, and there's really no way to gauge what they're going to be at any specific rating. These are static pressure blades, so they're suitable for using on a radiator. You could do push-pull configurations, with the way that the blades are set up. So to replace the fan blade on this, you'll have to do this before you install it, of course, but just put your thumbs kind of through the back of it here, and I kind of grab it, at the hub, and then just kind of give it a firm push outward, and it just pops right out, nice and easy. And then you can take the reverse blade, and just the center shaft on here just goes right into the hole. It's kind of dummy proof really, which means I'll probably screw it up, and then just kind of click it on there, and you are ready to go. Again, the documentation talks about after several different changes, you do want to re-oil it. And so, I think if you're going to change them just the one time, you probably don't need to worry about it. Anyways, that is ready to be installed. Just change it on whatever you need to change it, and you are ready to go. One of the other cool things you can do, because you can easily remove the blades, is you can pop them out and wash them down the road should you need to. As they get dusty, you're down the road 6 months, however often you maintain your PC. easy to pop these out, wash them. You can wipe off the hub on the inside and get them looking really, really good. So now that you've determined where in your case you're going to stick all these fans and what orientation, and you've swapped whatever blades out you need to swap out, if any, you're ready to go ahead and get them installed. Now, I don't think it really matters if you put them in one at a time. You just kind of need to do them in order because these do need to kind of click together. It's just a magnetic attachment system. So on the one side are some male pins here. They're kind of on a shock absorbing system there. And then on the flip side is just a pad that these pins are going to make a connection on. And so basically you're just going to connect these two together. And so you're going to take the pin side and the pad side and just kind of put them together. Now that magnet is pretty strong. And so, I mean, it's easy to pull apart, but it's a pretty positive click, holds together really good. It's no big deal. I can even put this third one on here. Again, just line the pins up with the pad, boom, like that. And it holds all three together. So you could go ahead and then just kind of stick them in your case, start putting your screws in, and you are good to go. You could do one at a time if you wanted to, meaning you could, put your first fan in, kind of screw it together, click your second one in, screw it together. Now the next thing you need to consider is where is your cable connection going to go? So there's plenty of length here other than the most crazy of systems, but this is the end that connects into your controller. And then here's a magnetic attachment that connects to the fan itself. And all it is a little magnetic square, and it's just got a pad on it. So you'll kind of have to pick and choose which way you're going to orient this in your case, upside down or down on the bottom, because this little connection needs to connect to the end with the pins. You can just make the connection, and really it only goes one way. So if you try to put it on the wrong way, it's like magnets when they repel each other, it'll kind of push it off to the side. But once you get it the right orientation, you'll feel a positive snap on there. But that cable holds on there nice and tight. So overall, installation is very straightforward. In my case, initially I just decided to kind of install it as a complete block. I just put all the fans in there connected and just started screwing them in. We could flip it around, and so the RGB is facing internal to the case, and then just reverse the fan blade, put a reverse fan blade on it, and then it will still take outside air and pull it in through. And that's really cool that you can do that depending on the case that you're going to put it in. There's definitely going to be some times to do that. Now, installing the TT RGB Plus software is very straightforward. I'll put a link in the description below, or you can just Google it, TT RGB Plus, go and download the latest version, which supports the SWA EX fans. Download it, install it. You're going to go to the controller section. As long as it detects your controller, which it should, you're just going to click on whatever port you have your fans connected to, select that, and then you can select the number of fans that are on that port. So 3 in this case. And then from there, you can go ahead and get into that controller, change your lighting, and change your fan speed. Again, this isn't going to be a full tutorial on TT RGB Plus. Fan speed control is going to be done through the TT RGB Plus software. There is no PWM sync cable back to your motherboard with this, so you're kind of locked into doing that, or some other application like Signal RGB. But the control is adequate. You can set some basic fan curves on here. There's some presets, quiet, performance, full speed, things like that. So you will have to have the software up, but it worked relatively well. So overall, I've had a very positive experience working with the SWA Fan EX12 fans. Now, I've worked with Thermaltake fans in the past, and these fans are no exception, as they do come across as a high quality fan. Now, that's going to be reflective of the price that you're going to pay for these, which is going to be approximately 120 bucks unless you can find them on sale. So you should expect a good quality fan. So I have no doubt that these fans should run good for you, and they should last a good long time. The RGB is very good on them. Now, the one con to that, the one thing I will say, is from the rear of it, it doesn't look that great. It's no worse than any other fan from the rear as far as an RGB fan goes. But because one of the features of these is to be able to reverse the blade around, you would have hoped that they would have covered up that center sticker. So the big plus to this fan is the installation, meaning they're easy to put together. They just snap together through magnets, and you get one single cable to run all 3 of them. And so that greatly reduces the cable management. I mean, that's a compelling reason to buy them. Now, the reversible blades, very cool, and I really like that that feature is there. There's been a few times and a few cases I've built in where I really could have used that ability to flip it around and keep it looking really classy. That said, I think that's going to be less of a usable feature for a lot of people. It just really depends on kind of how you're going to do it. So talking about the software, the TT RGB Plus software is okay. It's not my favorite piece of software out there. It's usable, it's functional. It doesn't really present a whole lot of problems to me. I'm able to kind of get through it, but it doesn't leave me with that like really awesome feeling of this is really simple, intuitive to use. I wish it was a little bit more polished, so to speak. So let's talk about the cons. Obviously expensive. They are very expensive fans, but they're just kind of right in line with what some of the Corsair fan kits are going to cost you. And you know, you do pick up some features with these. A little bit more expensive than the Lee & Lee fans. I think, you know, they're a little less than $100. These are going to be more than $100. So my final thought on this, if you like the look of this fan, the reversible blade is something you're going to use, or you're looking for a good modular fan and you don't really like the look of the Lee & Lee fan, this is a great fan to go with. As far as cooling performance, you know, it fits behind a radiator. It's a good case fan. You know, it's got good specs for any just basic mid-range gaming machine. And overall, I can recommend this fan to you. I think it's great. It looks good. If you have any questions, comments, concerns about this fan, please let me know in the comments below. I will try to get to those the best I can when I can. And that is going to do it for today. Thanks for watching.